Hey everyone, it's Lucky with Unfiltered Lucky, and today we're going to talk about the Idaho 4 case, specifically about Pappa Rodger. In my last video, a lot of you questioned in the comments section whether Pappa Rodger was actually Bryan Kohberger. So today, that's what we're going to dive into. Now, this week, we are going to be jumping back into the Noah Pressgrove case. I want to talk about his injuries and how they relate to what law enforcement believes happened. But today, we're going to talk about Pappa Rodger. So most of you are probably already familiar with Pappa Rodger. But if you're not, Pappa Rodger was a Facebook page that popped up right after the Idaho 4 crimes occurred. And a lot of people believe that Pappa Rodger may have had some inside information because they would comment and ask questions on a lot of the posts that were in the Idaho 4 Facebook groups. Now, some of the things that Pappa Rodger talked about were the knife sheath. And he basically came out and said they must have found the knife sheath, but not the weapon to go with it. So, and he said it just like that. He didn't say they found a knife sheath. He said they found the knife sheath. And the way he talked about it in more of a personal manner led people to believe that maybe Pappa Rodger had something to do with this crime. Now, you have to remember, this is before law enforcement had arrested a suspect. Pappa Rodger also talked about the amount of time that they believed this suspect was inside the house committing these crimes. And he was adamant that this person was inside the King Roadhouse for 15 minutes. He talked about the suspect and about how the suspect lived alone and maybe had issues with SA. He predicted that maybe this crime was SA motivated. So a lot of people felt like he knew a lot of information. And when Bryan Kohberger was finally arrested in December and the PCA came out, it confirmed a lot of the things that Pappa Rodger had said. Now, don't get me wrong, Pappa Rodger also said a lot of things that were not true. So he got a lot of things right, but he also got a lot of things wrong. A lot of people were kind of creeped out by Pappa Rodger because the way that he worded his comments and his questions was kind of personal. It sounded as though maybe he had some inside information, or maybe he may have even had something to do with the crimes. So he kind of freaked out some of the people in these Idaho 4 groups, and he even got kicked out of a few of these groups. So he started his own Idaho 4 group, and he continued talking about the possible suspect as well as the crimes. Now, when Bryan Kohberger was arrested in the end of December, Pappa Rodger disappeared. The comments, the questions, the posts, they all came to a halt. So that led people to believe that maybe Pappa Rodger was Bryan Kohberger. Something else that caught a lot of people's attention was Pappa Rodger's profile picture on Facebook. Because when Bryan Kohberger was arrested, Pappa Rodger's profile picture had a very, very strong resemblance to Bryan Kohberger. It looked like maybe Bryan Kohberger after he gets a little bit older, but there was a very strong resemblance there. So, of course, a lot of us thought maybe this is a clue. Maybe this is Bryan Kohberger, and he was kind of dropping a clue with this profile picture. So we began researching this profile picture, and it's referred to as the unknown soldier. So this photo was eventually found, and it was found on a website where people can submit their photos after they have edited them with computer software. So this photo was featured on this website, and it was credited to someone named Yi Zhu. Now, remember this name because you're going to hear it again down the road. Now, Yi Zhu was not a famous artist. They were someone who basically just pulled this photo off of the internet and used computer programs to edit the photo. The article was basically just a short description of the story behind this photo, as well as the techniques that Yizhu used to achieve this picture. So this picture was the profile picture for Pappa Rodger that was created by Yizhu. Now, in this really short article featuring Yizhu's unknown soldier photo, they refer to Yizhu as a he. So everyone is assuming that Yizhu is a man. Now, Pappa Rodger, he primarily only commented in the IDAHO 4 groups, but he did comment on one other page, and that was the Carmel Clay Schools, a small school system in Carmel, Indiana. And when he commented on their post, you could tell that he had a personal attachment to Carmel Clay Schools. He also made it very well known that he lived in the community of Carmel. So now we knew that Pappa Rodger was from Carmel, Indiana. Now, we didn't know what the connection was there, but we knew that he lived in that community. So if Bryan Kohberger was Pappa Rodger, why would he have an interest in Carmel Clay Schools in Carmel, Indiana? That just wouldn't make sense. So we started putting the pieces together, and it turns out that Yizhu is from Carmel, Indiana, and that's confirmed by a traffic citation that they received in 2003. So Yizhu, who created the profile picture for Pappa Rodger's Facebook page, is also from Carmel, Indiana, just like Pappa Rodger. Now, here's the kicker. We all thought that Yizhu was a man, because in the article where they displayed this photo that Yizhu created, they refer to Yizhu as he. So we all just assumed that Yizhu was a man. But in this traffic citation that Yizhu got in 2003, Yizhu is listed as a female. So Yizhu is a woman. Maybe the article got it wrong. Maybe when Yizhu submitted her photo, they just assumed that maybe she was a man, and they referred to her as he. But Yizhu is in fact a woman from Carmel, Indiana, verified by her court documents. So let's break this down. Yizhu is the individual who created the image of the unknown soldier that Pappa Rodger used on their Facebook page. Pappa Rodger is from Carmel, Indiana, and that's been confirmed. Yizhu is also from Carmel, Indiana, and that's been confirmed. Pappa Rodger had an interest in Carmel Clay Schools. Yizhu also had an interest in Carmel Clay Schools. So, in my opinion, Pappa Rodger is Yizhu, and Pappa Rodger is a woman from Carmel, Indiana. It all fits together when you break it down. Why would Bryan Kohberger have any interest in Carmel Clay Schools in Carmel, Indiana? This is a small school system in a small town. So why would Bryan Kohberger just randomly pick Yizhu, who is not a famous artist or someone who is well known, and use their name as well as a photo that they edited to create a fake Facebook profile? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. In my opinion, I think that Yizhu was a true crimer, just like us. I think that she used deductive reasoning and common sense to come up with some of the comments that she had in these Facebook groups about the IDAHO 4. I don't believe that Yizhu had any inside knowledge about these crimes, or maybe it's a possibility that she did. I think a lot of us assumed that Pappa Rodger was a man because of the name of the page as well as the profile picture. So I was surprised when I found this connection and realized that it's very possible that Pappa Rodger was a woman. Now, I believe the reason that she named this page Pappa Rodger was because she said in a lot of her earlier comments that she believed that the motivation for the Idaho 4 crimes was SA. And in my opinion, she was using a reference to Elliot Rodger in the name of her Facebook page, Pappa Rodger. Now, Elliot Rodger, as we know, was considered the king of the incels. People looked up to Elliot Rodger because of the things that he did and the crimes that he committed. So, in my opinion, because Yi Zhu believed that the Idaho 4 crimes were SA motivated, she chose the name Pappa Rodger in reference to Elliot Rodger. So I think that's why the name is what it is. The profile picture is the way that it is because she created that image. She used editing software and used a random photo that she found on the internet and created that photo. So in my opinion, it's just a coincidence that that photo bears a resemblance to Bryan Kohberger. In this last press conference that Moscow Police Department detectives did with the media asked them point blank, was Bryan Kohberger Pappa Rodger? And of course they responded by saying that they had investigated this and that there was no connection. Bryan Kohberger was not Pappa Rodger. But of course, after watching this investigation play out in the Idaho 4 case, I had to go back and do some more research because I have a hard time believing a lot of the things that these detectives are saying. So I was surprised to find out that it's quite possible that Pappa Rodger was a 61-year-old female from Carmel, Indiana. So tell me what you think in the comments. And thanks for hanging out with me today. I really do appreciate it. And if you liked my video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. I hope that you all had a great day. We'll see you next time.